Social Work Month. My name is Jennifer Luna, and I am your social work career coach. I'm so glad to be here today as we round out this year's 2023 Social Work Month. I want to talk to you about my personal favorite subject, which is professional branding. And if you follow me, you know that I love to talk about professional branding for social workers because I think it's so important for us as individuals and also collectively as a profession. So why is professional branding important? Well, it's important because you already have one. Everybody has a brand, a professional brand. Whether you're intentional about it or not, you carry a brand. This brand includes the way you dress, your personal characteristics, your manner of communication, and the way you carry yourself day to day in your work. In order to begin this process of branding, it's important to really dig in and review career-defining moments that you've had. The career roles that you have on your resume are important, but that's not all that is included in your brand. It also has to do with the way that you've lived your life and the way you've lived it throughout your career. Your personal brand is the way that you present yourself to the world. And when it's well designed, it's a strategic career development tool that encompasses your image, your work style, your personality, and your expertise. You'll find out from me that branding is not only a process, it's a journey. And when you work on your personal brand, you don't have to worry that it's not undoable. We can do many things with our brand, and we can change it as our career grows. The reason also that I think that branding is so important is because it eventually becomes your legacy. So, hey, Jennifer, why should I be concerned about my legacy? This is a good question. It's important for us as social workers to leave a legacy because of the impact that we have on individuals, communities, society, policies, and everybody that we interact with. We have an impact, and we make an impact on all of these different populations. For that reason, it's important to think about our legacy. Because we often work with such vulnerable populations to address social issues like poverty, homelessness, and mental health, it's important for us to think about what our impact is going to be and what our legacy will be. Many of us came into social work because a social work inspired us. I've met with so many social workers who came into the field because they received help from a social worker, either through therapy, personal struggles that they've had, through family violence, or foster care, just to name a few. Stop and think for a minute. As a social worker, if you've ever helped a child who is struggling in school, you've left an impact on that child. If you've ever helped a family to find a new home, you've made a lasting impact on that family, and they will never forget you. That is your legacy in their eyes. Leaving a legacy is also a way for social workers to continue to make a difference after they've retired or passed away. By leaving a legacy, social workers can ensure that their work and values continue to inspire future generations of social workers. And that's the collective impact that we have on the profession. Let's think about social work pioneer Jane Addams. If it weren't for Jane Addams, many of us wouldn't be here today. Did you know she was one of the first women, or she was the first woman to receive a Nobel Peace Prize in, I think, 1931? She was known best for establishing settlement houses in Chicago for immigrants in the early 1900s. And she was a dedicated community organizer and a peace activist. Why is branding important? Professional branding is critical because of the unique value that it gives us. And as it demonstrates our unique value, to the populations that we serve, the people that we collaborate with, and all the people that we interact with in our career. Creating a professional brand means creating a strong image of what you and only you will bring to the table. Professional branding brings so much value to your work. And one of the best ways I can explain this is by talking about, the money that companies spend on marketing, logo design, brand strategy, now digital branding, and storytelling. And it gets results. Would you rather buy a generic or a name brand? Maybe a generic for your sodas, but would you want to go to a generic therapist? This is what I'm talking about when it comes to our branding. And fortunately, we don't have to spend a lot of money on creating our professional brand. We have lots of tools in order to do that. As social workers, we all learn kind of the same things in school, in our universities with the degrees that we've earned. We learn similar theories, similar skills through our education that were established by the Council on Social Work Education, but your brand is what sets you apart from others. The most important piece of a branding journey is authenticity. In social work, we create a trusting relationship with our clients. We have credibility, influence, and so this already comes naturally to us as social workers. If you remain authentic to yourself, your brand will always be consistent and genuine. So let's focus on this process and talk a little bit about what's included in creating our intentional brand. It's a process. It takes a lot more than just going through your resume. A resume is a document, and it's an important document. It's the most important product that you will have during your work life. But branding has many more components to that, especially if you're looking to seek career advancement. It requires you to go deep and to look at your work and your life through multiple lenses. To begin this process, it's important to look at consistent patterns of your performance that you've applied in all of your personal and professional interactions. So what are the patterns that you have? Do you always show up early for meetings? Are you the first one that gets your assignments turned in? Or are you one of those that might be last minute and works better under pressure? What other type of patterns do you have? Do you have really strong boundaries and keep a really great work-life balance? Do you consistently apply ethics to all of your cases? Are you a looker-upper, like somebody who maybe doesn't have every piece of the code of ethics remembered, but you will carry a copy of it with you and look them up? We all have patterns in our work. So it's important to realize what those patterns are and how we apply them. The next piece is personal characteristics and how you incorporate these into your professional and personal life. Personal characteristics could be your style, the way that you dress, the way you communicate. It could be maybe the person who brings pizza to lunch every Friday just to get people talking. It could also be the way that you carry yourself in different roles. I think a big part of personal and professional branding is the role that we play in our families. Branding starts early. If you are the type of kid that like to laugh and tell jokes, it's probably pretty apparent that you like to do that now. If you were an introvert and you like to maybe spend a lot of time to yourself, there's a good chance that that's part of your brand now. So think about the personal characteristics that really make you, you, and what those are. Branding is also the feedback that you have received from others about your work. And this could include recognitions that you've gotten from your colleagues, maybe thank you notes that people have written for you, words of a recommendation. It could also be things that you've heard from clients or your supervisors. So another really great way to think about your brand is to think about what others have said about you. And this is, if you don't have that handy with you, maybe you're new in your career and you haven't had your first performance evaluation yet, there's a good chance you've had a field evaluation. Or you can just ask people, ask 5 people, what do you think about my work? What makes me different? This is a really great way to incorporate these themes into your brand. And then finally, what makes you stand out among your peers? And this can be a hard one sometimes. Some of us talk about imposter syndrome, and we don't think we stand out among our peers or that we stand out in a negative way. I want you to get those thoughts out of your head and think about what does make you stand out. It could be the culture that you're from. It could be the way that you learn. It could be the way that you train, the way that you teach. It could even be the fact that you come from a different geographical area and you're living in a different state than you grew up in. These are characteristics that anybody could think about. However, in social work, there's a lot of other things that will make you stand out from the others. These characteristics are more skills. So for example, maybe you're a social worker and you have a business background. We all hear a lot of times that social workers aren't good at numbers. I don't believe that. But if you have a business background, you will definitely stand out among your peers. If you're good at public speaking, if you're good at project management, or say you have bilingual skills, all of these things will make you stand out. And everybody has at least 2 or 3 things that make them stand out among the rest. So think about those qualities as well. As you're doing these evaluations of the 4 things I just mentioned, which I'll repeat them again, and that was consistent patterns of your performance, personal characteristics, feedback that you've received from others, and what makes you stand out. As you're reviewing these items, I want you to think about your whole life. Think about how you were in school, how you grew up in your family. Think about places you volunteered or organizations that you've worked with, organizations that you were in when you were in college. If you're a student, think about the roles that you've played in group projects and what you leaned into when you were working in a group project. Were you the first one to call the meetings? Were you the one that liked to take notes? Or were you the one that liked to proofread the project at the end? So think about these roles throughout your life, not just your work, but all the other roles that you've played and what makes you stand out among the rest. So I hope this has been helpful. Follow me for more tips on professional branding. And let's celebrate Social Work Month by working on our brand, both individually and collectively.